Hello and welcome to IGN Overclocked, episode number 16. I'm your host, Mitch Dyer, joined with a fairly new cast of crew today. Ryan McCaffrey, welcome back.
Hi, my second time here.
Yeah, glad to have you. We got some really good topics I want to talk to you about today.
Excellent.
We're also joined by Sean the Shark Finnegan.
Hello, first time on the show. Thanks for having me.
Podcast Unlocked fame.
And
we're gonna
Fire Team Chat, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Counter-Strike later today, so that's why we have Sean Finnegan here today. He's one of our big enthusiasts. But first, I want to talk a little bit about a topic that is sort of just like never ending at the office. Ryan, you just reviewed Rainbow Six Siege.
Sure did.
I just reviewed Star Wars Battlefront.
You sure did.
Both of those games did not have campaigns.
Nope.
You wrote an editorial about how the single-player campaign in the shooter genre is sort of dying.
Quietly dying.
Yeah.
And it's not okay.
No, and it's sort of like we're starting to see it in, and not just our reviews across the industry. Everyone's talking about how like the absence of the campaign sort of makes shooters feel like they're not like hardcore enough.
Yeah.
Not deep enough. Like it's missing a core feature, because obviously it is. But I'm starting to wonder if, like, do designers need to make games for those people? Like, is there a place for a multiplayer-only shooter in a world where people are demanding, like, the hardcore player is not the person who's, like, super multiplayer competitive, it's the person who really cares about it.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to wonder, like, do we need to have a campaign?
Well, I think part of it, there's a couple things. One, I was talking to a very, I don't want to like,
no specifics.
I don't want to sound like a douche here, but I think it's going to come off that way anyway.
Whatever.
I was talking to a very, very prominent first-person game developer privately recently. I'm only not saying who it is because he didn't give me permission to say this, but we were talking about this exact topic.
Okay.
And he was saying that he thinks it's because he also loves single-player narrative-driven campaigns and shooters. He was saying that he thinks it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Fewer campaigns, like,
yeah.
Do you think that necessarily entails like less depth in a game? Like if you free up the resource, ideally, right? Like you free up the resources of a campaign, it gives them being a developer, like the opportunity to create something that is way, way, way deeper than a multiplayer game.
I think I think a big problem. I mean, it's very much partially a perception problem.
Sure.
But that's fueled by the fact that for however many years now in games, for full price, whether that's been $50 or over the last 8 years plus almost 10 years, 60 $, is that full price has always, you've expected a narrative-driven campaign of some substance and length and a fully featured multiplayer suite. And now it's, for the same money, the same full price, it's forget about the fully featured narrative single player part. We're just going to give you the multiplaer chunk.
And this is why, for like numerous reasons, I think Rainbow Six should have been free to play.
But that's my point, is that I think if Evolve had been $39.99 or $29.99, and the same thing with Rainbow and with even Battlefront. I mean, it's got the Star Wars name on it, so it can totally get away with. I mean, all these games can more or less get away with it. That's why they're doing it. But we'll see how long that lasts. I mean, we talked about on Unlocked this week that this is totally anecdotal and there's no hard data here, but the like weekly UK sales charts suggested that Rainbow Six Siege did not have a good debut week relative to expectations. Again, you can't. Yeah. Super giant hunk of salt.
It's like relying on MPD for like totally accurate.
Yeah, but I mean, you can look around at the buzz online too, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, it's a really fun game, but the kind of negative feelings towards the overall package kind of overwhelm what is a at its heart good game. So, publishers will only stop. They will only change their behavior when the sales dictate, when the numbers dictate that it's okay, that they need to do so. As long as people continue to buy $60 games that are, that have less content than you might want, they're going to keep doing it. So, wait for sales or don't buy them at all. I mean, I know vote with your wallet is like a super cliche thing to say, but it actually does work. I mean, look at the Xbox One, $499. It's a good console. It always was, even from day one. But for $499, and the PS4 was $3.99. Like, people voted with their wallets, and their first console that they bought this gen was in large numbers the PS4. Microsoft has had to respond by aggressively adjusting the price of the Xbox One.
Discounted again for a short period of time right now.
and guess what? It's working. Now they're like, it is totally goosed Xbox One sales, and now a great system is getting into more people's hands because the markets voted with their wallets and said, $4.99 for a thing with the Kinect in there? Nah.
Don't want it.
Yeah, I'm going to get a PS4 instead for now. And it works.
Yep.
From a developer standpoint, it is kind of understandable why you wouldn't want to invest resources in a campaign when you can look at games that have long multiplayer legs, and it's because people spend like 5% of the time playing the campaign and 95% of the total time in the multiplayer, and it's like, okay, well, we're going to spend however many $1 million in months or possibly even years designing the campaign when someone will play it once and then never touch it again. I get that. But if I take a look at every shooter I've played, minus Counter-Strike, which has no story mode or campaign and has never.
How much did you pay for Counter-Strike, Sean?
$20. Different thing, for sure. But when I look at all the shooters that I've played in my life and love, all of them have a campaign, and it's been the campaign that initially drew me to it.
Yes.
Halo's a really good example. The best one, obviously, Half-Life. Like, that is a game made solely on the campaign, and there is no multiplayer for it, although Team Deathmatch and all that stuff.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
it
you're talking
shipped
about
slightly
the mods.
after the single-player game.
Yeah,
but,
right.
And
it's
then
not
Half-Life Deathmatch, and then it spawned other things like Team Fortress.
Team Deathmatch and Team Fortress, and Counter-Strike obviously is the most popular mod.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing, is like, as someone who is initially drawn to games via the story, it's disappointing when I didn't touch Battlefront because as much as I love Star Wars, that gameplay isn't on the same level as a Counter-Strike, and it doesn't have what I want most from a Star Wars game, which is the story and the environment of being in Star Wars.
And what annoys me is when the economics of the game dictate design choices. And by that I mean I look at a Rainbow Six and it's, well, okay, we have no proper narrative story campaign. Like, we have a multiplayer game here, so we're charging people $60. We've got these maps, we've got some modes, we've got terrorist hunt. So, okay, how do we give some semblance of progression? Well,
10,000 gates.
We're gonna lock everything, literally everything, and so it's a very arbitrary thing.
It's like actually disgusting.
Whereas, and it's a tough line to walk. Whereas, let's say, I mean, if I would be willing to bet that if Rainbow Six had a 5 to 6 hour narrative-driven quality single-player campaign, a lot of that multiplayer stuff would not have been locked away.
Right.
Because it wouldn't have needed to. They could have said, well, great, our players invested their time in campaign, so we're going to here, go have fun with multiplayer. We're not going to lock literally every character, every attachment, every weapon modification.
Sounds just so grueling.
So my question to you guys is, we pointed out, I mean, friend of podcast Unlocked, Peter Moore, said, and it's always stuck with me, that there are no bad games, just bad price points, which is a very, very smart thing. But what do you think prevents developers from making a game like Rainbow Six $20 or $30?
Publishers, yeah.
Publishers.
Yeah, the corporate overlords.
They demand it to be $60.
So here's the thing. I think if you sell something like Rainbow Six Siege for $20 and it's got Rainbow Six on the name, people look at that and think it's going to be a third of the quality. People think it's not going to be good because it's a third of the price. People associate discounted games with inferior quality. And I think that...
Well, I would maybe agree with you there. Like, do you think that perception's changing? Like, look at the top games that are played now on Steam. Like, all of them are almost...
free.
Yeah.
League of Legends, Dota.
Counter-Strike.
And Counter-Strike, $20, yeah. And you sort of have to establish that, and I think that Valve has done it. I just don't think that EA and Ubisoft have. And I think that's where the problem comes in, is that people associate, like Blake Jorgensen from EA, the CFO, said for the hardcore, it may not have had the depth they wanted in the game, speaking about Battlefront.
Yeah.
He's, like, basically what he's saying is that the hardcore equate depth and quality. Those are the same thing. It needs to be deep to be good. And I don't agree with that. I think that the hardcore, if that's the case, don't necessarily, they're not the only people that matter. There's more to this than the hardcores want. And for me, somebody who wanted just a fun, casual Star Wars multiplayer shooter like Battlefront was what I wanted. And obviously it's missing certain pieces that I may have enjoyed, but it doesn't mean it's an inferior quality game.
Not at all. But you want your money's worth.
Yes.
And again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about this. Publishers are giant, battleship-sized entities, and it takes a long time to turn those kinds of ships.
Right.
Whereas the indie space, it's like the League of Legends crew, Riot, can just be like, okay, we got this cool new thing, and it's free.
Yeah.
No problem.
And that's the thing. It's like,
whereas that Activision and EA and Microsoft and Sony, it's gonna take them a long time to get to that place.
and I think that's almost the biggest problem is if you look at this in terms of like hardcore versus casual and which player base matters most, you look at a lot of publishers who want to charge $60 for a game, giving the hardcore player the most value. What that means is you're sort of ignoring this casual base that, and like those terms are like real loosely defined right now as casual and hardcore, but the casual player is not a mobile bejeweled Candy Crush player. It's a League of Legends player. It's the 40 million people that play that game every month because yes, they might understand like hardcore systems, but they don't play it like a hardcore player plays Call of Duty. They play it kind of casually.
Right.
And I think that in terms of like hardcore versus casual, who matters more, if you look at that from the publisher perspective, you're always going to lean toward the hardcore because the risk of not getting the casual audience is so huge and it would destroy your game. And you've seen it with stuff like anybody who's making a MOBA on PC right now, whether you're EA doing Dawngate and canceling it, or Turbine canceling the DC game, or Motiga laying off a bunch of employees this week.
Yeah, it's a very but you can't. What am I trying to say? The hardcore are the ones that will bring in the casuals because if you get the hardcore excited, they're going to tell their friends and that's going to bring in everybody else. If you aim solely at the casual, that's a roll of the dice right there.
And I think that was a big Battlefront roll of the dice. And I think the thing that sustained it obviously is Star Wars.
Yes.
And if it was not that, it would have been seen as this sort of shallow first-person shooter that's cool, but doesn't have the depth that I want, therefore I won't buy it. But it having the brand makes it a big deal.
I still maintain I had a prediction on Unlocked. I'm going to stick to it. I believe that Battlefront will be the #1 selling game of December. I still, whatever you feel about its content or lack thereof, I think the quality of what is there, as you pointed out in your review, and the push of the film. I mean, that film's just gonna make
every
juggernaut
dollar.
is an understatement.
It's already
dollar.
made $50 million.
Yeah.
It's not even out yet.
Yeah, I just
Also, that was like a last week stat. I bet it's already made $10 million more dollars.
The Battle of Jakku stuff. I think Battlefront is in for a massive December, and that will, in a way, it's like, oh, that means publishers aren't going to learn anything.
This show will be up by the time MPD has come out already, but we are recording right now. Was it Wednesday at 3 p.m.? I think MPD comes in Thursday afternoons. I'm still sure Battlefront will top out MPD. I think it'll be Fallout. I think it'll be Call of Duty.
Oh, you think it's going to to beat those in November?
I think it will be #1 for November.
Oh, we did. There's
talked about
not
this.
a chance. Yeah, we.
I believe
Call of Duty's on more platforms.
Yep,
and
that's
it came out at the beginning of the month. It had like 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
There is zero chance that Battlefront beats it for November. But I do think December, when they both have 31 days.
Yeah.
I think December is Battlefront's month, but I think it's going to go Call of Duty, Fallout, and then Battlefront, largely based on the calendar.
Probably correct.
See.
Probably correct. Sean
But
Finnegan,
we all know predictions, and I are like I am wrong. Like I'm the Michael Pachter, or I will give you an enthusiastic prediction. It's probably going to be wrong.
TBD. Yeah,
I will bet you an In-N-Out burger over it, whatever it is.
I'll do it every time. Sean Finnegan, on the subject of hardcore first-person shooters, I want to talk to you about Counter-Strike, which got a really fun winter update this week.
Yeah, so yesterday we had the patch go live, and a whole bunch of changes, included, but the one that's stealing all the headlines is the addition of a new pistol that replaces the Deagle.
Halo pistol, right?
Basically. Basically.
Even more egregious.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't say Halo on a PC podcast.
It came out on PC. Thanks, Gearbox.
The gun is called the R8. It's a revolver, like
the
a
Mazda,
six-shooter.
is it made by Mazda?
I wish. When I went,
that's RX. No, Audi. Audi.
You just fire a bunch of cars.
RX-8.
When I heard about the update,
when
I heard the update, I went to Twitter and was like, "R8," and like
you got
search, and I found a whole bunch of cars, and I was like, "That is not what I was looking for."
Not even close.
But yeah, it has 8 shots in the main chamber, and then 8, so total of 16 shots. The thing that is crazy about it, but from a design perspective, is it's the first gun in Counter-Strike to have 2 functions. Like, you can fire it with a left mouse button or a right mouse button, and doing so changes the way it works. The left mouse button is something you charge, and it takes a second to fire off, but if you do use that function, it one-shots at any distance,
so
doesn't have to be a headshot.
Let me stop you right there before we even get into, because I know where this conversation's going.
Yeah.
If we stop right here,
Oh, yeah.
doesn't that already break the game? If it's like the only gun in the game that has multiple functions?
It's also like there are so many extra conditions that make this even more insane. It's like the AWP is what, like $4,750 to buy in the middle of a game. And that's like well more than half the funds you start with.
Yep.
So...
And this costs $850.
$850.
It's the most expensive pistol, but it is as effective as an AWP for literally a fraction of the cost.
In terms of like, it shoots through materials, it pierces
it has
players, like it goes through guys. You can kill 5 guys in one shot.
It has the same damage and the same pierce as an AWP.
Is that mathematically the same?
Yeah, it's
at least like
if you
very
look
comparable.
If you look at the patch notes, it's supposed to have armor piercing at 97.5%, which is the same as the AWP. It was actually implemented wrong, and currently in game it has 93%. So technically it's doing less damage than it's supposed to, and it's still wrecking everyone.
So the R8 is like buying a Samsung HD TV, and the AWP is like spending the money for the Sharp Aquos. You're getting the same performance for way less.
It's really crazy.
Really nuts.
The worst part about it is like it not only is the gun really, really powerful, but it ruins kind of the meta, which is like this. There's this whole sort of, in competitive matchmaking in Counter-Strike, there's this whole sort of economy management system where,
rounds.
Yeah, as a team, you're supposed to buy and save at the same times in order to maximize your chance at winning. Because if you're all saving or all buying, that actually helps your team defeat the other team, right? This makes that unpredictable, because even if you destroy the other team's economy, they can still armor pistol, which is called ecoing, and but now you have this insanely strong pistol that allows you to win more often than not. It's been quite literally game breaking.
So Sean, you're the Counter-Strike expert.
Yeah.
So literally, this is not a troll question. Whose idea was this? And why? And is Valve gonna have to do something about it?
I mean, they're gonna have to, right? So if you go on Twitch right now, or if you jump into competitive matchmaking, you can immediately see.
Thanks Counter-Strike Reddit for automatically playing music.
You can immediately see that everyone is using this gun basically nonstop, because it's the only thing you need. The other thing is that not only is this gun, to go back to my previous thought, which is just to round it out, not only is the gun itself like really, really overpowered, but it's that in combination with the other patch changes, which are nerfs to the core guns of the game.
And lots of people think the conspiracy theory right now is that this pistol's in here as this diversion from the other updates. Because like they nerfed a bunch of rifles, like the M4 and the AK got big nerfs that they didn't really need. There's new bomb timers that affects competitive play from here on out.
Also round timers.
Except the ESL tournament is actually playing on a previous patch, because they're like, nope, we don't
this patch
want
is
this.
so egregious. The biggest competitive league in the world is like, we have championships coming up. We are not going to play this one. We're going to play the old one.
I want to ask a devil's advocate / total ignoramus question, because I have played Counter-Strike, but not in literally over a decade.
Minute.
Yep.
So Counter-Strike's a game that's been around for 15 years.
Something like that.
Is that about accurate?
Yeah.
It is more or less an artistic science of balance and shooter perfection.
Yep.
Or has been up to this point. Why? Like, did it even? Are they breaking what? Are they fixing what wasn't broken here? Do you think, Sean?
Oh, absolutely. So that was kind of the point with the rifles, is that core to the gameplay of Counter-Strike is the ability to shoot the rifles as effective as you can. That means learning spray patterns, learning recoil, learning burst patterns, all of that stuff. And they changed those guns. Like, they made them less accurate while crouching. They've increased the amount of time it takes for your aim to return to normal after bursting or moving or crouching or something like that. These are all changes that literally had that wasn't breaking the game at all. Like, riflers were riflers, and they were good, and that was it. Like, you just had to be good at those guns. The pistol nerf, which is they also nerf.
So it increases the move inaccuracy on all the pistols. So if you're
all pistols now
walking, you have double the inaccuracy.
That was actually a nerf that I saw coming, because pistols had always been in Counter-Strike Go just a little too strong, where if you were a really good team and you had good tactics and communication, you could eco the other team, even if
Right.
they had better guns, just by virtue of positioning
Yeah,
and stuff.
you don't need to worry about that enemy shotgun because you're fine.
And a lot of the pros, and that's one thing I give Counter-Strike a lot of props for, is Counter-Strike has from the very beginning always been balanced around the pro level players. Like that's like that game and StarCraft and I guess Warcraft 3.
And most MOBAs are kind of tuned for the top 1%.
Exactly, which is how it should be in a competitive skill-based
Sure.
shooter. But these are things that even the pros didn't seem to have problems with. Rifles, pistols, they all kind of agreed that were a little bit too strong. But why nerf a whole bunch of pistols and then throw in this other
Yeah,
pistol
well, it's
that's
funny too,
way
because like,
better?
after this patch notes, all the pros are tweeting at each other like, well, I guess now is as good a time to retire as any.
Yeah, seriously.
People are really down on this.
It's really kind of an unbelievable thing. And I just, I played a couple matches here today at work, and we lost, 3-11 on CT side of Mirage, which is a CT-sided map, by the way, and we were down big time. But because Ts have a tactical advantage, since they know where CTs will most likely be defending, now you can peek with this revolver and one-shot oppers from, like, the distance of the map. That's the thing, is, like, with the left click, the primary functionality on the R8, you can do full damage, 100 damage, and more if it's a
really
headshot.
impressive range.
From 2,500 units, which is the distance from Counter-Strike players. This is a little inside baseball. The distance on Dust 2 from Pit to Goose, which is the longest distance in the game, or from like lower A on Mirage to the telephone booth. That's 2,500 units, and that is sniper rifle damage with sniper rifle accuracy. And
I was
you
pulling
can move
off
while do it.
insane stuff with this pistol.
You can move, like strafing back and forth. So that's the other thing. Like I said, they nerfed all of the pistols' move inaccuracy, which means now when you're strafing, they're all doubly inaccurate as they used to be.
But this
not
doesn't
that
seem
one.
affected by
but
this
not
at
that
all.
pistol. Yeah. It's perfectly accurate.
Huh. And the strafe accuracy on this thing is insane. The movement accuracy is really
incredible,
good.
man. Like I haven't seen backlash like this since riot shields were implemented in 1.6 or whatever patch that was, 1.5 back in the day. That was another similar thing that just broke the game. And I mean, it's super tough. So like in competitive, a lot of people are using it right now at really, really high skill levels. If you miss that first R8 shot, you can still, like, I wouldn't call it, a lot of people are calling it game breaking or literally ruining the game. I'm not quite sure it's entirely to that level, because here's the thing is, like, if you're a really, really good player, if that person misses their shot, you should be able to kill them before they can get the second shot off. Because fires really slow.
The charge is like a long enough time to like pull the trigger back and earn that accuracy as it dwindles to the center of the crosshair, that like you're gonna get punished if you miss.
Exactly.
But it's not long enough that you're gonna
if you
not
don't
equip
miss,
that gun.
yeah, but if you don't miss, exactly. So I wouldn't call it quite game breaking, but it does certainly change the fundamental way you play the game. So the meta is entirely different. Eco rounds are now different. Your economy management in general is different. You can play much more aggressively now as a T if you have that gun.
So let's look at this optimistically, because I think the gun is cool. I like using it.
Yeah.
I think people are obviously enjoying using it because everybody I'm playing with and against is using the R8.
It's like a Desert Eagle from hell, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's a fun weapon. I like that it has modular fire. I like that there is a risk to using your standard right click with decreased accuracy but high power. I like that a lot. I like that there's a risk to committing to the charge shot, and that it also has like really high power. Obviously you balance that out, you make it better and less totally overpowered, and that'll be ideal. But I like it as a concept, and I like what it means for the future of Counter-Strike, which I hope means more weapons with variable fire, updates to existing weapons maybe you didn't think that they needed it. Like, I like the idea that you could maybe change fire rates, or the way a weapon interacts with another player based on left or right click. Because right now, and this is obviously what Counter-Strike has been good at, is it's a hip fire game. It has always been a hip fire game, and I think that it should stay that way, and it does with the R8. The R8 doesn't change that.
We have enough ADS games.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes Counter-Strike special. But I think if you're going to modify weapons, whether existing or new, to have this kind of effect, there's something really promising there. And I hope that we see Valve start to tinker with it. And if it doesn't work, mission abort. But I like that Valve is trying to shake up Counter-Strike in a major, major way.
Yeah, and I mean, they're kind of 0 for 2 as far as implementing guns go recently. Like, they they screwed the pooch with the CZ as well back when they implemented it. It was another pistol that was wildly overpowered when they first implemented it, but eventually it got nerfed, and now it is usable but not overpowered, which is fine. And I eventually imagine that's what will happen to the R8. And I, too, like you, am on board with them adding guns and kind of having the game evolve, because at one point there wasn't an op. At one point there wasn't a non-silenced M4, there was a whole kinds of different changes that have made the game over time into what it is now. But part of me can't understand how you didn't understand that it's so overpowered in playtests before the patch goes live, Like, it's almost as egregious as like they didn't test it at all.
Which is coming back to that conspiracy theory, maybe it's intentional.
Yeah, and
it is intentional. Like, regardless of what the intent is, there is intent behind this. This is not an accident. This gun does not exist this way by accident.
Yeah, like, it was designed this way and implemented this way, and some people think that it was done so in order to distract people from the nerfs that didn't really need to be in there. Things like the rifle nerf, round timers, C4 timer, all of that stuff, which in matchmaking has always differed from the competitive scene, like the actual pro leagues, just by a little bit, but now they're kind of trying to unify it. But that changes the way it all works. Now teams have to kind of tweak their strats in order to be most efficient. And that's kind of, I don't know, none of that stuff was broken. And it boggles my mind, because over the past 2 years, we've seen Counter-Strike's popularity literally skyrocket.
It's huge.
And it's like,
growing so fast.
What better way to throw that off than to ruin it by doing something like that, by implementing an R8 or changing the way the game is played at the pro level.
Or to throw it in to get more attention and then fix it to make you look like a real good guy.
A lot of people on Reddit are pointing that out too. That
There's so many conspiracy theories. It's amazing.
Like, today is when
maybe they just goofed. Maybe they just made a mistake.
I mean, I'm sure they did. Like, they thought riot shields were a good idea too, and they were terrible.
I mean, it's all about experimentation. You can only find out if something is as flawed as you worry it is if you throw it in the wild and people go, "This is as flawed as you think it is."
Yeah, but it's true. But at the same time, it's like, that your game is popular because a lot of people really, really love the high skill, like low randomness aspect of it. So let's throw a gun in there that takes no skill. Like, as long as you can hit them, they're dead.
Because it's like it's no skill with right click and a little bit of skill with left click.
Yeah, especially depending on the distance. But it's
like
crazy, man.
Pure RNG on the right click.
Yeah, and it does so much damage. It's ridiculous. There should be no. The only guns that can one shot in the game prior to the implementation of the R8 was the AWP, the AK. Sure. If it was a headshot, and even if they have a helmet, and then the M4 can one-shot headshot if they don't have a helmet. It takes 2 shots if they have a helmet.
Okay.
So only 3 guns, all of them are rifles, and all of them are the ones that if you want to play Counter-Strike competitively, you have to be able to use those guns.
And I like the idea of having a heavy-duty hand cannon that does that.
Yeah.
But man, and something's got to give.
Yeah, or it should have 1 bullet. That's what it should be, the golden gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, like the taser.
I think 8 is a lot of bullets, and I think the reload time is too fast.
8 is a lot of bullets.
You just pop that thing out, you put the bullet back, like it's like a preloaded.
Well, that's the thing, is like you can come around a corner and you can shoulder peek someone, and they know you're going to come out again, but you know where they are. But your gun can one-shot them, and they can't one-shot you. So it's like it gives you a huge advantage. Spread. Yeah, exactly, man. Oh, it's such a bummer, dude.
It's gonna be an interesting next couple weeks to see how like pros react to this and how it changes and what Valve does to it.
I mean, I have a feeling like this will be nerfed in a week. 1 week.
Well, we'll see you back on IGN Overclocked next week.
Yeah.
Ryan, you got to spend a lot of time with Tim Schafer, and you got to play Day of the Tentacle with Tim Schafer.
Wonderful human being,
yeah, of course.
And an even better game designer.
So
I love that man.
He had a really good week last week, where they announced they announced that Full Throttle's getting a remaster, just like Day of the Tentacle, and you got to play Day of the Tentacle with Tim.
I did.
Fill me in, because I'm not super into classic point and click games, but
all right.
Everyone says like, no, man,
Should we
Full Throttle's the one.
Hold on. We're gonna start with Full Throttle.
Okay. I'm super down already. Way in.
This is the theme song to the game. This is the opening credits.
Yup.
If you play too much of it, we're going to get a copyright strike.
Yeah, I'll stop
the video's been taken down.
So Full Throttle is, I mean, once Grim Fandango, when that was announced that was coming back, I was like, yes, that is regarded as one of the greatest adventure games of all time.
I never played it. I was super happy.
What did you think of it quickly as playing it for the first time? Have you yet?
No.
Oh my
I've
goodness.
seen it, but
Lock
it's like
yourself away over
it's
the
a
holidays.
weird thing where like I look at the puzzle solving in that game and it's like this is just it's like the archaic, awful
Some of it
point-and-click
is.
design that I don't get. But it's like everything Tim does is so funny. Like I don't like Grim Fandango.
The
I don't like-
characters, the story.
Yeah.
It's.
I don't
oh
like
my
playing
goodness.
Grim Fandango, but man, do I love like watching Grim Fandango
So-
and listening to Grim Fandango.
Grim was coming back. That was great, and it turned out the game spoiler alert, holds up great. Then we had an announcement a short time later that Day of the Tentacle would also be getting a remaster treatment. So then the natural for me it was okay. Well, those are the two of the three major Tim Schafer led LucasArts adventure games. The third one is Full Throttle, a game that I have such a weird story with because Full Throttle was 1995. I believe, and this is pre-internet. There was Video Game Magazine days. That was pretty much it. And Full Throttle was a game that I bought Dark Forces, the original Dark Forces,
Yeah.
and it came with a bonus demo disc at like Babbage's that had a demo of some other LucasArts game on that I don't remember now. See if you can find it. Or no, maybe it was a demo disc of Dark Forces. Maybe I think I might have it confused. Anyway, point being, it was this demo disc I had from something else that had and Full Throttle was like the B side of this demo. And I was like, I literally had no idea what Full Throttle was. No clue. Popped it in, thinking that it was a motorcycle combat game. It was like Full Throttle. I'd seen the art. Nope. Turns out it is a LucasArts point-and-click adventure game, which I was already in love with from the Monkey Islands and Loom and Day of the Tentacle. And Full Throttle, what makes Full Throttle special is not only is it's artistically one of the best looking of the LucasArts. I mean, they're all sort of
It was the most
artistically
recent one. It was
beautiful.
the last one that Tim made.
It was the last of the 2D
Yeah.
LucasArts games, because then there was Grim. Oh, then there was Grim and Escape from Monkey Island, which we don't talk about. But it was the last of the 2D games, and it just had this beautiful animated art style and this incredible sense of setting and place. And you were this giant behemoth biker, the leader of a biker gang named Ben. Your gang's the Polecats, and you're just this deadpan guy. You talk like this, but the humor is just straight deadpan, straight faced, and it's one of the funniest games. And it's Mark Hamill is the villain in the game, and
Awesome.
back when Mark Hamill's of course a brilliant voice actor. Everybody knows him as the Joker, and just it was such a wonderful ride. Pardon the phrasing, given that it was a motorcycle game, but just a one of a kind of all the LucasArts adventures or any adventure game, and I've loved it ever since. I've replayed it every few years. I haven't lately, and so when after the other two were announced, I thought, oh, maybe Sony really seems to have the in with Double Fine and Disney to get in there and make these happen. And sure enough, here we go, Full Throttle remastered it'll have updated art, commentary, which I'm very excited about.
That's the thing is like when I played Monkey Island, I liked the first one, but it was like way too hard in adventure game sense.
Right.
But like playing that and playing through Monkey Island 2 with commentary was like incredible. I wish every game had that.
And you'll
Valve
enjoy
was
that
really good at
when
it.
you get to Grim Fandango too. There's some really good commentary in there. But
I think it was you who was telling me that's like one of the most enjoyable parts of the game is playing through it and listening to Tim talk about it.
Yeah. So Marty and I did a 20th anniversary Let's Play on IGN for Full Throttle. So if you just look that up on YouTube, just give it a search, you'll find it. And it's about, I think it's like the first 20 minutes of the game where it's just Marty and I reminiscing over it. And you'll get a sense of like why that game is special. So the fact that Full Throttle is coming back it makes me happy to no end. And then as for Day of the Tentacle, Mitch, that was the first game that Tim was the project lead on. He sort of co-led it with Dave Grossman, who you may know he went on to found Telltale. So he's gone on to great success and still in the adventure game space. And Day of the Tentacle is just it's also very funny, but it's sort of it's much more obvious in its humor, but you play as 3 different characters over different periods of time. You have the Chronogon, which is this time travel toilet, and you have to interact. Like, you have things that, puzzles that involve doing something in the past to have it affect the future. And this is
like crazy ambitious for a game that came out in what, like 89?
The 93, I believe, for Day of the Tentacle. It's actually the sequel to a Ron Gilbert game called Maniac Man. The actual full name is Maniac Mansion Day of the Tentacle is the technical original name. And Maniac Mansion was Ron Gilbert's game. And here's a fun fact, which we had in our Day of the Tentacle playthrough of the new one with Tim Schafer this week. The entire original Maniac Mansion is actually hidden inside of Day of the Tentacle Remastered. You find it in like an arcade cabinet at some point in the game. Like, you can walk up to it and then play all of Maniac Mansion.
That's intense. That's a lot of video games.
That's super cool. But yeah, and it all takes place in one house. Some of its puzzles get pretty tricky, but it is like the 3 main characters are all great. The tentacles are hilarious. It's an offbeat comedic adventure game that I think everybody's gonna. It's still so different than anything that's out now. Comedy is so rare in games, period. And this is definitely one of the still funniest games that you'll play. I think it's going to be great.
Not only is comedy rare in games, but we're also just in this age of the dark and gritty reboot.
True,
man. Yeah, good point.
So like everything, even if it's not exactly a dark and gritty thing, tends to have dark and gritty characteristics.
Like even Uncharted 4, right? Like the game is a big romp, but you look at it, it's just like, oh man, like everything's so dour.
Like the only funny game I can think of immediately off the top of my head for this year is Tales from the Borderlands. But it is not a comedy. It ends up being funny because of good writing, but it is not a comedy.
Right.
The last comedy was South Park, The Stick of Truth, which was amazing also.
I played a really cool game, and this is like not related to this at all, but it is a comedy. It's called Dr. Langeskov, The Tiger and the Terribly Cursed Emerald, A Whirlwind Heist. It's from the designer of the Stanley Parable and a really, really smart British writer and a really great VO talent out of the UK. And it's just like, it is a comedy. It is meant to be a pure comedy. And it's like one of those games that like has a lot to say about the player and game design. And it's one of those, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with, but it is purely a comedy. Like the whole thing, every step of the way is just like really funny performances, great writing, awesome jokes. It responds to what you're doing by cracking jokes about it. And it exists specifically not to be a good game, but to be a good comedy. And it's, like you're saying, just super rare. You don't really ever see that stuff.
The last one from memory I can think of was Sunset Overdrive, which I found to be very funny.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I would give that credit to that one.
But that's not this year. That was last year, right?
2014.
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah.
October 2014.
Point is, there's not a lot of them out there.
So but for the love of God, if you want to laugh, if you want to play a comedy video game, keep a close eye on Day of the Tentacle. I believe was that announced for March?
Keep vamping.
I believe so, from PSX. I think that was confirmed. When Tim was in here to record the thing with me, they were still like early 2016. It hasn't locked in yet, but I think
March.
on stage. Yeah, they said on stage at PSX that for it's PS4 and PC for March. So I'm gonna have that one circled in ink on my calendar.
Nice. Yeah, it looks so good. I hope that I can sort of get past. I'll probably just play with a guide like I did with Grim.
You could.
We have those here on IGN.
So disappointed. I played most of it. Like I basically, when I played Grim, I would play until I was like, no, I'm done. I quit. And I would just use a guide and be like, all right, cool, let's go back and get a bunch of jokes and then rage quit.
Point and click adventures are for the way it always worked for me, and I guess everybody's different, but play them, enjoy them, and up to the point where you're stuck and you just can't. You're just digging yourself deeper and deeper in your mental hole. Walk away, come back like hours later or the next day, and I will bet you dollars to donuts instantly. You'll get it real quick. That's always what happens to me, and I'll bet it happens for you,
I had that
too.
even playing Tomb Raider. Like I was yelling at you that like
about Tomb Raider,
2 hours,
Lara
I can't
Croft
do it.
Yeah.
You're like, just walk away, and an hour later I solved it instantly. Video games. Cool. That's our show. Nice little short one this week. Both of you gentlemen, thank you so much for coming by. Sean, what are you working on? Where can we find you on the internet? What's up with you?
Follow me on Twitter at I'm Finnegan. Always playing a lot of Halo and a lot of Destiny, and I will be building a PC soon because I am now going to be returning to Diablo.
Nice.
I've been playing a lot of
awesome.
Yeah, I mean Diablo has always been one of my big games, and now I'm going to be returning to it. My PC finally died. It's an 8-year-old.
Merciful death.
Man.
No, it just won't turn on anymore.
Well, I mean,
So
like,
it
are
just
you
like-
kind of happy? Like, is it like the old dog where you're like, let's end its suffering?
We knew it was happening. It
Oh
didn't
yeah,
hurt that bad.
for the last couple months it was making weird noises,
you
and
knew
I was just
something
like,
was
it's having a heart attack.
Mine will
yeah.
do that every now and then. Like it'll be making like weird dying cat noises, but only for a minute, and then it's done. I'm like, I think it's okay. I'm not going to do anything. It's fine.
Yeah.
Real quick, Sean, we should talk about, you're talking about building a new PC. I was going to mention this too, but on the PC front, Mitch, you and I just got done. It's going to be on IGN before this airs.
This will be on Friday, so.
Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, on IGN now, you and I got to go play Eve Valkyrie together
Oh my
on
gosh.
final Oculus hardware.
Oh yeah.
And
I really enjoyed what I played of that game.
It's fun.
so please check out our commentary. It's a very unique commentary because the way...
we explained it in the video.
Yeah, we
but
explained it in the video, but it's the way it had to be recorded because of Oculus and the two, one view per eye. Anyway, it's a spectator view, but from first person. So you get it's a 10-player game. You get each person's head and whatever they're looking at. But it's just cycling through like
cool.
like 20 seconds on one person.
Like a commentator might be in a
fades
match.
out,
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
back,
exactly.
and it just cycles through all 10
Nice.
players. And it's Sean and I talking through it for about 12 minutes, talking about all of our impressions from that game. But I walked out of there and I said to you, like, I was already interested in Oculus. Luckily, I had just built a new PC for myself earlier
Nice.
this year with some tax return cash.
There you go.
And this Eve made me go, okay, I was already interested in Oculus. I've got to have one now. Like there's no denying it.
Yeah, like with my interest in VR, and my interest in, I'm a big Blizzard games guy, and StarCraft Legacy of the Void is here, and Overwatch is on the horizon. I'm a big fan of Diablo. We're staying the hell away from World of Warcraft specifically. And then, of course, Counter-Strike. So I'm going to get to doing that. But, follow me on Twitter at I'm Finnegan. Brian and I have that commentary going live very soon on IGN, so that'll be up. Also, check out The Vault, which is our Fallout podcast. I'm a member of that, and it's been a great show so far and a lot of really positive feedback. So if you're playing Fallout either on PC or on Xbox, check that out because we may have some cool topics for your viewing pleasure.
Do you guys have like an email address people can send you topics to?
Not yet, but just tweet at any of us. It's Miranda, Brendan, and Jared and I. You can find us all on the Twitters.
Nice. Mr. McCaffrey.
Cool. I felt like I talked too much this episode.
Whatever. No, that's great.
But-
That's why you're here.
That's what
so I
podcasting
don't
is,
have
man.
to. It's the only reason I have co-hosts, so I can get the stardom and none of the work.
You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. I host, of course, Podcast Unlocked, our weekly Xbox podcast with
this
these
crew.
two gentlemen, and as well as Destin and Marty as well. I've got Rainbow Six Siege review. If you haven't seen that yet, you're still curious what someone that you like thinks.
Yep.
Hopefully like me. You like me. You really like me. My Twitter profile has a link to a little t-shirt shop I set up. Holidays are here. If you're looking for a cool video game / geek inspired shirt, please take a look. It would make me super happy if you would take a look at that. I think we're done.
That's it.
Plenty of good stuff happening all over IGN. We're not going out quietly this year.
No.
There is a lot going on the site.
It's never ending.
So appreciate everybody hanging on IGN.
Lots of cool IGN first stuff this month too, so swing by, check that stuff out. I am at Mitchie D on Twitter. I'm working on a bunch of newsy stuff for over the holidays, lots of videos we're shooting here, the usual stuff you'll just see in passing. I'm working on a review for The Room 3, which is one of my favorite iOS games ever, so look forward to that. And that's kind of it.
All right.
Some secret stuff in the works for down the line, but
Nice.
more on that as it happens. Thank you so much for listening. This has been IGN Overclocked. Subscribe to us on iTunes. We love you. Goodbye.